All right, we are live. Let me give you all a minute to come on in. And you can see I'm back at home today. I got my furnace fixed, so I had to stay at my brother's for a couple of days earlier this week due to a broken furnace. So it's nice to be back home. I'm so glad I got on live last week. I had to go from my phone because I couldn't get a signal coming through my computer. Anyway, um, so if you are coming in, just go ahead and hit that thumbs up button for me. And if you are new here, then welcome. And we're going to talk today. Let me get my notes over here. So we're going to talk today about functional medicine, traditional medicine. Sorry, I'm getting over to my notes here. And make sure I'm in the right spot. There it is. Okay, I'll get to this. And okay. All right. There we go. Okay. All right. So as we get in today's show, the biggest thing that I want to ask you is, have you ever gone somewhere, gone to the doctor, you're exhausted, you're stressed, you're not sleeping very well, you have brain fog, you maybe you have low libido, you're just things are not functioning properly. And you don't feel well, but you get some tests done, maybe you get tests done and you're told everything is normal. So if this is you, if this sounds like you, I want you to, give me a thumbs up in the chat there. Let me know what's happened to you that you knew you didn't feel well, you knew you had a problem, and yet you went and you got checked and you were told everything was normal. This is such a common occurrence because, if you can relate to this, just drop a comment. You can relate. Hey, Prepper, nice to see you in here. So what today's show is really about is to shed light on that, is that so many people are walking around in a fog because they cannot get answers to the fact that they just don't feel well. And, the human body, we adapt so well. Hey, Bill, nice to see you in here. We adapt so well, and that even when we're told things are normal and we don't feel well, we just forge ahead and we figure out how to deal with it. But it really breaks my heart because I don't want anybody to just deal with something. I want people to really understand that there is a way to have fully optimized health. Hey, Ken, nice to see you in here. Be sure you're hitting that thumbs up button when you guys come in. As I was saying, I'm back home. Furnace is all fixed. So it's nice to be back home. That was a really stressful couple of days. And interestingly enough, it was a stressful couple of days. And then I got sick. So I don't think there's any coincidence. And so we're going to talk about stress today as well, and how stress can take us a little bit sideways. So when we really talk about the functional medicine world and how it's different from the medical model, and I've had these conversations before, but I think they're definitely worth repeating, is that traditional medicine that's the place that you go when there's a crisis. And it could be the first place you go when you feel like something is wrong. But oftentimes you get tests done and you're told everything's normal. And then, you still don't feel well. And you're just like, what do I do about it? And so this is so many of us are walking around without getting help. In fact, the average woman, as she's going through menopause, it takes her 2 years to try to find somebody who can ultimately help manage her hormones, help manage gut health, get her back to sleeping, get her feeling like she's not on an emotional roller coaster. So this topic is really important today. And so, even if you aren't a woman, I hope as a man, you're going to listen, because your hormones matter too. And we've got to get men and women optimized. And, too many of you are walking around and you're just like, I don't know where to go. I don't know what to do. I don't know who to see. But that's why I'm here, to shed this light on here. So, it comes down to who should I listen to? There's so much information out there and it can be very confusing. So Who do you listen to and what's the right information? Well, I think if you've gone to your medical doctor, your primary care physician, whoever it may be, and I'll do this too. I'll send my patients to maybe even just get like an MRI or get some just general testing done. And my idea behind that is that oftentimes I have to help resolve in your mind the fact that there's nothing particularly catastrophic going on. Like let's rule out cancer or tumors, anything big like that, because that really plays a huge role on everybody's psyche. So oftentimes I'll tell a patient, you should just go to your primary care physician and you should just have them check you out, because I think there's some comfort in knowing the answers from your primary care physician. Then when they come back to me and they say they found nothing, and I go, that's great news. That's great news, because really, if you find something, if your primary care physician, your medical doctor finds something, that means that you are so far out of balance. If I find it, you're moderately out of balance. You aren't far enough out of range for it to be detected on medical tests. But if you go to your primary care physician and they find it, you're really, really out of whack. Now, that doesn't mean I can't help you. It just means it's going to take a lot more time, a lot more energy, a lot more money, and a lot more work. And so I'm trying to help you get to a place where we can make sure we're optimizing within the realm of these medical lab tests, so that you don't fall outside those ranges, so that we can optimize you before you get well. Because when those labs are normal, you're still not well. You're not healthy. You're just not sick, but you're sick. You're sick-ish is what I call it, right? So sick-ish is something's not right and you can't get the answers. So today we're going to really talk about these traditional lab tests. What is the real problem? And what your symptoms are ultimately telling you about your health, how functional medicine can help uncover the root cause, and then what steps can you be taking to help get it figured out right now. So stick with me to the end, because I'm going to talk to you about some strategies that we can be doing that are going to help you move this needle forward, so we make sure that you don't fall off a cliff, so to speak. So the problem with these standards labs, and I've talked about this before, like I use vitamin D because it's really, in fact, a lot of medical doctors don't even test for vitamin D. And that is one of it's the biggest deficiency that anyone ever has. And it's one of the most important deficiencies, meaning that your body needs vitamin D for every single cellular function that it goes through. And so if you don't have enough vitamin D on deck, you're missing, or any of the other cofactors, you're missing the building blocks. And so your body cannot possibly be healthy if you don't have the proper building blocks. I had a patient come in the other day and she said to me, what do you have for hair loss? And I said, well, what do you mean? Be more clear on that question. And she said, well, what supplement can I take for hair loss? And I said, it's not that simple. It's not that simple. If you're telling me you have hair loss, there's a problem. There's a deeper problem. There's a gut issue. It's maybe a heavy metal issue. It's a toxic load issue. You have an issue with your thyroid. You're missing selenium. You're missing zinc. You've got mineral deficiencies. Like, it's a massive, massive request when people say, what do you have for X, fill in the blank? I am not the doctor that is going to say, you have a symptom, here's a supplement. Now, occasionally that works, but the problem with that is that model is medical-minded model, meaning you have a symptom, you take something for it. Functional medicine is not like that. We have to look at you from a completely holistic perspective in order to be able to get to the root cause, to understand, why are you losing your hair? Where is that coming from? Is your liver not detoxifying properly? Is your gut completely jacked up? Are your hormones completely out of whack because you've had mold toxicity maybe? I mean, the list can go on and on. So when you think to yourself the next time, I get this rash every once in a while, and so I'm going to take Benadryl. That is a pill for an ill. You need to figure out, why do you get that rash so often? What's actually going on? Could be a gut issue, could be a liver issue. It could be food sensitivities. It could be heavy metal toxicity. It could be mold. It can be a whole slew of things going on. And so in functional medicine, this is ultimately what we're doing, is how do we drill down to make sure that we find the right tests for you and the right answers in order to optimize, in order to customize something for you so we can optimize your overall health. So when we your medical doctor is typically going to run, like, let's say, a basics, what they call it, a CBC, just a basic CBC. They could run a fasting glucose, but fasting glucose, it's, blood sugar, but maybe your insulin isn't functioning properly. So you can still be showing signs of insulin resistance. And so we have to get these complete panels. The thyroid, I'm going to talk about this for a minute, because this is one of the most critical markers of optimizing health, is making sure your thyroid, it's your engine to everything. And what typically will happen is you go to your, so before I talk about what typically happens, let's talk about how the thyroid works. So you have thyroid stimulating hormone, and it's released from, like, deep inside the brain, and from a little gland called your anterior pituitary gland. So that's thyroid stimulating hormone. Now, thyroid stimulating hormone, or TSH, is what your doctor typically tests for. They will only test TSH. So TSH, when it's coming from here, it requires selenium and a whole bunch of other cofactors. And so let's say all of that comes down. Let's say that TSH number is fine, but now it comes down here into the thyroid, and it can't make the conversion because it needs iodine. It might need zinc. It might need some specific B vitamins, B12. It might need all these other cofactors that you are deficient in. So it doesn't make the conversions here. But if you only test TSH comes out and it looks normal, but it comes here and it doesn't convert. So you have to test the thyroid, the cascade of all the cofactors of thyroid, so that you're making sure that you understand how the cascade is working. Is it converting properly? Is it picking back up your T3, that's called reverse T3, when too much has gone out and your body doesn't need it anymore? There has to be a way to pick it back up and put it away, and then it can convert back. So this is one of the biggest problems with our traditional lab testing, is that you're only getting TSH. Now, if you've only had TSH tested and you've been told it's normal, or even not normal, but again, even if it's not normal, how is your doctor supposed to know where in the cascade do they need to actually then treat you if they're only testing for TSH? So, but yeah, if you've only had TSH tested, go ahead and drop that in the comments. I'm very curious. So thyroid is one of the biggest ones. I usually will run a full thyroid panel, because I want to know what is happening at each and every step of the thyroid way. So look at your labs if you've had labs done, or when you go to your doctor, request for them that they do a full thyroid panel. Now, oftentimes they just won't. They'll say to you, your insurance won't cover it. If TSH is normal, your insurance won't cover anything more. This goes back to the conversations I've had with regards to the fact that your insurance does not care about your health, period. And if you say okay and you walk away, that's bad on you, because you need to know that information regardless of what your insurance company is going to do. I mean, do you understand that? Do you understand the risk that those kinds of rules put you at? Like, it's like playing Russian roulette. And then you still go off into the world and you're still like, I still feel like shit. I don't know what to do because my insurance wouldn't pay for an additional test. So that madness has to stop if you want to get yourself optimized. You cannot be led around by what your insurance will and won't cover. And there are very cost-effective ways to get around this. So I'll give you an example. I use a lab that does not take insurance. And the reason they don't is because those reasons. But also, if they took insurance, they would have to charge so much more for the lab testing. So when I order labs from this particular lab, I can order, it's about $1,000 worth of testing, and I can get it done for around $200. And it's everything. It is comprehensive. It is all the things we need in order to get you moving in the right direction. So keep that in mind, is that there are ways to do this in a very affordable manner. Okay. So moving on, and if you have any questions along the way, you guys just drop them in the chat. So let's see, where are we going here? Let me go back to my notes. And again, if you are just coming in, if you're here live, awesome, hit that thumbs up. If you're here for the replay, hit #replay. But either way, please leave a lovely comment and make sure you're hitting the subscribe button if you're not a subscriber, and hit the thumbs up button for me, please. It helps everyone to see my channel. I think I'm about to cross over into 1,400. So I think I'm like 3 people away. So I'd love to get 3 new subscribers tonight. And I think if each and every one of you shared this out, I might be able to do that. Shameless plug, shameless plug. But listen, I appreciate everybody being here. Okay, so some of the common symptoms that we experience when we are still struggling, we can't get our labs to actually show anything positive that we can utilize unless you're working with a functional medicine doctor. And this is also really common, is that people will bring me their labs, and they'll say, my labs are normal. And I'll say, I don't know what that means. I need to see numbers. I get that oftentimes with vitamin D. My vitamin D is normal. Normal's not a number. I need a number. So then I take their labs and I run them through my functional ranges, and everything starts falling out of range. I mean, it's crazy. And then I say to them, here's the problem. I found the problem. And then they say, why doesn't my medical doctor use those ranges? And I go, because they don't. Because it's traditional medicine. Like, they don't. Those ranges are based on sick people. So again, you have to be so far out of range, and then you get to the sick range. Like, that's when they catch you. They don't catch you before you get there. I want to catch you before you fall. That is my overall goal. Hold on. So I ended up sick after that fiasco with my furnace, and I was in bed from Tuesday night to Friday. Yeah, it took me down. So I had a lot of sleep this week. All right, so now let's talk about our common symptoms. So a lot of the common symptoms are fatigue, brain fog, and mood swings. This is where, as we start to get into hormonal changes, into menopause, perimenopause, and men can start to experience these things as well. So we want to start paying attention to, where's this fatigue coming from? Again, it could be thyroid issues. It could be adrenal dysfunction, meaning your adrenal glands are not producing cortisol. That's your energy like it needs to. Estrogen dominance can be a factor in a multitude of things. And the problem with estrogen dominance is that is everywhere. So we get these excess estrogens that build up into our system, and they wreak havoc on us. And they come from everywhere. They come from toxins in the air, fertilizers. They come with new car smell. Okay, who doesn't love new car smell? New car smell, that is estrogen dominance. Body care products, your cleaning products, they cause these environmental estrogens to build up in the system, and they cause all kinds of hormonal disruption. So we're really trying to prevent hormonal disruption and prevent our livers from getting clogged up. But unfortunately, in this like crazy toxic soup of a world we live in, it's really tough. So we have to be able to take matters into our own hands. Other symptoms: hot flashes, night sweats, and insomnia. Hello, my menopausal women, raise your hand right there. So many of us experiencing hot flashes, night sweats, insomnia. That 2 a.m. wake up call, bing. That's usually because your adrenals they don't know what to do, and they fire off cortisol in the middle of the night. So you're so overstressed, and so they decide at 2 a.m. that they want to have a party, and then it takes about 2 hours for these hormones to leave your system. And when do you get your best sleep? From like 6 o'clock on, right? So it's crazy. So we have to start to look at what is causing that. And then for women, it can be low progesterone and also estrogen imbalance. The other thing that we get: weight gain and stubborn belly fat. Again, this is stress induced. So that's where that insulin resistance, meaning that insulin and your blood sugar are not functioning properly. They're not firing on all cylinders. And so your body starts to put weight around the middle. So we have to get our insulin resistance, and then our cortisol, our stress, that cortisol is just firing at all times, and the body doesn't know what to do with it. And so we get that central weight gain. And the other thing too with your the 3 a.m. wake up, the 2 a.m. wake up, is this could also be blood sugar. And what happens also during menopause, so estrogen is really protective. Sorry, you guys, I have something that jumped in my eye. Estrogen is, hold on. Wow. Okay. Estrogen is super protective. And when it goes down in the body, it causes our blood sugar to go up. There's a relationship there. And so if your blood sugar is altered, if you go to sleep and you are somebody like, you're hypoglycemic, that, that you are affected by blood sugar in some way, shape, or form, then sometimes just having maybe some yogurt with a little bit of maple syrup on it before you go to bed, some kind of a snack, some fat, some protein before you go to bed, and that can actually help you to sleep better. The cortisol is going to spike if the blood sugar's off, and so if it's been too long since your last meal, and that keeps happening, that can be a bit of a trick that you can use to see if you can try to get around. Okay, so which symptoms does everybody struggle with the most? So brain fog, fatigue, lack of sleep, 3 a.m. wake up call, hot flashes, night sweats, insomnia. Where are we going? I mean, there's so many ways that we can go with this. I want to hope that nobody is experiencing any of that, but it's a lot. Okay, sorry, still recovering from whatever took me down. So now, what we want to do in functional medicine. So somebody comes to me and they have these symptoms. So let's say I have a woman come in and she says to me, "This is the difference between men and women." Man goes into a doctor. He says, "Doc, I've got fatigue, brain fog. I'm not sleeping. I've got mood swings, and I have low libido." Doctor says, "Oh, your testosterone's low. You need testosterone." And so doctor puts him on testosterone. Testosterone is actually covered under insurance for men. Woman goes into the doctor and says, "Doc, I have fatigue. I've got mood swings. I've got low libido. I can't sleep at night. What should I do?" And the doctor says, "Oh, you need an antidepressant." Like legit, this is how it works. So for some reason, that same cluster of symptoms, men are given hormones and women are given antidepressants. We are not crazy. We just need to get things rebalanced. And that's what I help people do. Now, I talked a couple of weeks ago about, do you need hormones? Do you need hormonal intervention, hormonal replacement therapy? Some women do. but we've got to get all of the other markers. We have to check all the other boxes to make sure that you're doing all the things properly that are going to drive proper hormone function. So if you've got a toxic diet, if you don't move your body, if you're not sleeping well, if you're using horrible body care products, like these are certain lifestyle things that must be addressed, because if you go and you get hormone replacement, you haven't fixed the problem. You've just put a band-aid on it. Now, if after we go through these lifestyle things, you still need HRT, then that's fine too. But I always encourage people to make sure you go through all the lifestyle things in order to make sure that you are as optimized as possible, because sometimes you might not need it. So, and that's where I can help you. So doing specialized coaching, making sure we're customizing plans for you and making sure we're getting you in the right direction. So when we look at labs, so let's talk about what does functional medicine look for in labs. So again, I mentioned earlier, I'm going to do a complete thyroid panel. So I'm going to go TSH, but I'm going to do all the conversions and make sure that I'm looking at a thyroid panel. I may or may not start with a comprehensive hormone panel. The reason is because depending on how far off people are, the hormones are further downstream. What I'm going to do first is probably an organic acids test. And what that does is that actually tests for toxins in the gut. It tests for mold. It tests for bacteria. It tests for yeast. It tests for specific detoxifying pathways. It tests for your brain neurotransmitters. It's a magical test because it uncovers so many things. Every single person that I've run that test on says to me, how come my doctor doesn't know about this? Because that's not how they practice, okay? It is not how they practice. Unless your doctor decides to convert over to functional medicine, they are not going to they're not going to recognize what tests are ultimately going to uncover what you need. So I would definitely do an organic acids test as well. That's usually the first thing I do, along with some blood work, and then maybe do some hormone testing a little bit later. I would test for adrenal, do some adrenal and stress testing. Again, it depends on where you're at. So I'm just giving you some of the things that I would do, but each person is very different. And this is what customized medicine actually looks like. It looks like what you need. It looks like you're not a cookie cutter. So stop trying to be in a system and get answers in a cookie cutter system, from a cookie cutter system that is not, you're not special. I hate to break it to you, but you are not special in the traditional medical world. Hey, Chairman, how are you? And so, and I say that too, that, like I said, I will send you to your doctor just for peace of mind. Go and let's make sure that nothing's catastrophic. Go work with your doctor, because I still want to make sure those relationships are open, and that we still maintain that communication back and forth. So this is not me saying don't ever go to your doctor, but sometimes we just need that peace of mind. Is it cancer? Is it whatever it is, whatever it isn't? Let's make sure that we, we're checking those boxes and getting your mind to calm down sometimes, because we can certainly run away with our thoughts, especially with Google University, and we can start typing in our symptoms and really lose it, right? Hey, Mountain Grandma, nice to see you. Thanks for being here. So there's a multitude of special tests that I would run, and it really just depends on what kind of symptoms you're bringing me. What is your history? What have you been through? I have a patient that I'm working with recently who she's worked with multiple functional medicine doctors. She's had stool testing and gut testing and blood testing, and she's gone through parasite cleanses, and this has been going on for about 15 years. And she said, I don't think I'm ever going to feel good ever again. And that just breaks my heart. So she's come to me, as a last resort. And I'm like, and I have to, be real with her and say, like, it's been a long time. I will uncover this. However, like, it's not, we're not going to get to this overnight. So we're doing some strategic things that she's not done in the past. And so I'm hoping that we'll be able to uncover this for her and get her moving in the right direction. Um, so, so really the ultimate takeaway is that traditional tests, they're going to miss these early imbalances that ultimately can cascade down to become, pretty chronic. And so functional medicine finds them early. And that's really what you want. We want to get you we want to get you early, and we want to get you, fixed, optimized, right? That, and then also recognizing that when people have, so let's say somebody has candida or yeast in their gut, and chairman, yes, she may have leaky gut or leaky bowel syndrome. And there's no doubt about that. But then what are we missing? That's the whole thing, right? So, and I was supposed to dive into her stuff this week, and then I got sick, and I reached back out to her. I'm like, I'm not gonna be able to touch it till next week. I was just in bed for days. So, so I really need to put a really fine eye on everything she's done and be able to come up with what hasn't been done. And I have a couple of ideas, but you're absolutely right. She does have that. And so, so this is really, I forgot where I was going with that, but we just want to make sure we don't, if you have a symptom, it is a red flag. Like, you do not want to overlook that. You don't want to ignore it. And you want to make sure that you get assistance with that, like, right away. So take the emergency piece off of the plate, meaning, like I said, sometimes you just have to go to your medical doctor just for peace of mind. And then when you come to me and you say, nothing's wrong, they didn't find anything, great, that's awesome. I don't want them to find anything, because that means that means you're in catastrophic zone, and we can't have that. Like, that's, like I say, not that I can't help you from there, but it's harder to do. And why wait that long, I guess, right? So, why should you wait until things are that far gone before you ultimately take the steps to get help? And the unfortunate piece about this is that some people just don't know. So that's why I have to get this message out, and I have to really hammer this message home hard, is that people don't know that people like me, functional medicine, that, customize care, customize nutrition, people don't really know we exist. A lot of people still don't know we exist. A lot of people do. Some people do. You all do, because you're here. But a lot of people don't know we exist. They don't understand it. And they're still very comfortable. So even though they don't feel well and all their tests are negative, they're still very comfortable sitting over here in the medical model. They're not quite comfortable taking the step over into the holistic world. And there's a fear there, right? So there's this fear gap. So we have to get people from this, I'm comfortable even though I don't feel well, over into this is where the help is, over here. Like, you've got to come on, we can take you, come on. And I'm going to help you across that creek so that you can get the help you need. So, but that's really, what I'm really trying to do is bridge that gap for people, and, just create more trust and a more comfortable environment so that you can make sure that you're getting the help you need. Like I said, one little symptom, it's a red flag. Symptom is smoke. You cannot wait for the house to catch fire. If you smell smoke, there's fire. And so a lot of people are, there's a smolder going on. I have kids that I work with, and I have one little girl, and when she first came in, dark circles, bags under her eyes. And I was like, this kid's sick. And I told the mom, I was like, she's not well. I think she's 8, 10, something like that. But then I looked at mom, and mom has, and I said, I said, "You're not well either." And I have to tell people that because, and she was like, "Oh," and then this person, she's pretty holistic, but they're not well. They're deficient, and you can see it. You can see it in the skin. You can see it in the eyes. But oftentimes, and this poor little girl, she's got anxiety and she doesn't sleep well. That is a gut issue. This poor little girl is sick. She has nutrient deficiencies and she has a gut issue that needs to get addressed at 10 years old. So I'm working on the mom, and you have to be kind of gentle because you can't just be like, "Bleh." But you just have to drip it out there, because you also, especially with kids, like, I never want to make a parent feel like they're like, "Oh my God," guilt over their kid being sick. How did I not know this? So that's the whole thing, is we have to be very gentle in how we present to people to make sure that they are comfortable with the messaging enough so that they then want to take our advice to get the help that they need or that their children need. So, um, yes, and probably that too. Taking the lectins out of the diet. Yeah, I've got to look and see. I think she's got like some food sensitivity testing. She might even be, I would probably take her completely off of grains. Oxalates. I mean, there's a whole slew of things to be done. So, yeah. Okay. So, all right. That is my takeaway. Now, if anybody's interested, if you're interested in booking a consultation, you can go ahead and drop a comment. You can look in the show notes, and in the show notes, you can sign up for my newsletter. If you sign up for my newsletter, I can send you an email that will show you, we can talk about what does it look like to work with me. And then there's my online store there's a link in there as well. And so, by all means, make sure that you're, staying subscribed to the newsletter, as well as making sure you're staying subscribed to this channel. So let's see. So Dr. Gundry talks about, I think you probably mean lectin filled foods. And yeah, Dr. Gundry's, he's been around for a long time. He's pretty well-known guy and pretty smart. And so a lot of his information is really helpful too. The thing I like about Dr. Gundry is it's simple. His stuff is very simple. And I think simplicity also speaks to people, and, helps them, to make decisions about, where's the best, where are their dollars best spent in order to get the best possible care. And so that's why I try to keep things here real simple. I don't dive too deep into medical speak, or, I just don't want to confuse people, because there's enough confusing information out there as it is. There's a, yes, that's what I figured. I figured it was autocorrect. There's a clip going around. I forgot who the person was being interviewed, and they're talking about, she's talking about how poisonous vegetables are. And she's basically talking about oxalates, right? I've talked about oxalates on this channel. Oxalates can be very detrimental to people. Just to remind you, so oxalates are these little crystals in food, and we're supposed to poop them out. But when we are deficient in calcium's supposed to bind them in the colon so we can poop them out. We are so mineral deficient that what happens is people are reabsorbing them, and they're causing symptoms in people that, from migraine headaches to cancers. I mean, it's really, oxalate toxicity can be very, very detrimental and devastating to somebody's health and their life. People can have it from small, it's a range, just like anything. But she's talking about the vegetable, and the vegetables are poisonous, and this toxic, and the worst thing we can eat. And Dave Asprey has these conversations too. And I'm like, it's not the vegetable. Like, it's us as humans. Like, let's fix the gut. Let's optimize our overall function, because guess what? At one point, we used to be able to eat vegetables. I mean, if we're out on the prairie and that's all we can eat, guess what we're going to eat? Berries and vegetables and tubers and things like that. So it's interesting to me when people are on big platforms, and having these conversations about how toxic vegetables. I'm like, I freaking love my vegetables, but I support my gut, and I make sure that I'm healing myself, and I make sure that and I've tested, I don't have an oxalate issue. So if you don't have a problem with oxalates, then you're okay. Like, it's like anything else. So the inflammatory messaging and the confusion that is out there, you guys, I get it. I totally get it. So I try to keep things very manageable here for you. I try to keep the messaging not so far off in left field that confuses you, that like one day you can eat an egg and the next day you can't. We're not doing that on this channel. So do you think areas that have hard water help to cover a deficiency in calcium in the diet? Now, if somebody has hard water, they usually have a softener. So I'm not exactly sure what the question is asking. Because when I was at my brother's, they have a water softener. That is some salty water. Oftentimes, people who have water softeners are very sick. Their sodium levels are far too high. So I'm not exactly sure, Mountain Grandma. You're going to have to clarify that question for me. That explains why my daughter has been saying we're not supposed to eat a lot of veggies, which just sounds crazy to me. I've always thought of veggies as disease fighters. Yeah. And most of the time they're talking about like the cruciferous vegetables, broccoli and cauliflower and kale and collard greens. And those all have a compound called sulforaphane. Like there are supplements that extract sulforaphane out of those vegetables and concentrate it and put it in pill form because it is so powerful to fight cancer. So why would you avoid those things? Cabbage, like all that stuff. So, this is why testing people, and I've had people who are high in oxalates, and it's almost impossible to eat an oxalate-free diet. You would actually make yourself sick. So I'm not recommending anybody goes out and just starts eating a low oxalate diet. But I do recommend you take calcium citrate. Calcium citrate is the form of calcium that binds oxalates in the colon, so you poop them out. And so you just take 2 at every meal. If you think it might be a good test for you, if you're like, maybe I have an oxalate issue. I always get joint aches after I eat. Or maybe you just have constant joint aches in general. That could be oxalates. Or if you get kidney stones all the time or bladder stones, that's signs that's oxalate overload. So, take a couple of calcium citrates with each meal and see what happens. It's a good test. So Mountain Grandma says, for homes that do not have a softener, good to know on the softener. We don't have a softener because I worry about salt. Yeah, for sure. I don't know the answer to that question. Hard water, because hard water has iron in it, doesn't it? So I'm not sure if there's enough. I don't know about the calcium in the water, but I know that there's probably more iron in hard water, I think. Or am I thinking well water? Or is it the same thing? I'm not sure. Is that well water, hard water, or is that coming from like the city? Is it city water? And because of the cost, it just hasn't made it up on the priority list. Yeah. Let's see. Chairman says, I started eating walnut butter instead of peanuts because walnuts are omega-3 and peanuts are omega-6. Great point. Peanuts are like so dirty. They're so inflammatory because of the omega-6 and because of they're just oversprayed with pesticides. Now, even organic foods. Gosh, I just pulled another thing down today that even organic foods have glyphosate in them, which is Roundup, because of the overspray. We can't possibly, everything is getting oversprayed with glyphosate. So, and walnuts are just, oh my God, walnuts are magical. So yeah, I love that you're doing walnut butter. Oh my gosh. And if you can get a hold of some black walnuts and make black walnut butter, oh my goodness, look at this. Hold on. I got a bag of black walnuts sitting right here. I just nibble on them. They're so darn good. Oh my God. They're sweet like candy. So, so good. And let's see. Oh, well water and hard water. Yeah. So I think there's iron in the well water. But I don't know about calcium. I'm not sure. I know people who um, have like reverse osmosis systems in their homes. They need to be making sure they're taking like doubling down on their minerals, because the minerals in your body will bind to the water, because water wants to bind with minerals. And so if you drink completely stripped off reverse osmosis water, which is good in one sense, because water that comes from our water facilities still has the number one toxin in the water coming from our water facilities is estrogen. Estrogen. It does not get filtered out. It's from all the birth control, it's from all the hormone replacement therapy. It's crazy how much estrogen is in our tap water. So, and we can't get it out. Now, you're like, oh, I'll drink bottled water. Now you go to the bottled water. Now you're getting xenoestrogens, which is environmental estrogens, off of the plastic. So that's when I'm like, oh my God, it's crazy. So if you have reverse osmosis, that's great, but you just need to be making sure you're taking extra minerals, because the water will bind in order to get out of the body. It'll bind all your minerals, and you don't want to lose we're already all deficient. I say me too, So, hedge your bets and give yourself expensive urine. I said this, people use the term expensive urine as like a slam on supplements, and saying that supplements only give you expensive urine. And here's the deal. Supplements go into the system. They absorb it if you're taking good supplements. Now, I always say the most expensive supplement you can take is that cheap one that you got on sale that doesn't work. So, because it's not helping your health, and then you just spent $10 on nothing. So, making sure it's a good, high quality supplement. If you have a good, high quality supplement, it will go into the system. It will go through the body. You'll absorb what you need to absorb. And once it's saturated, you will pee out the rest. That is the proper amount of expensive urine. You want to saturate everything. If you don't pee anything out, then you're really, really deficient. But you do want that bright nuclear yellow. God, that light is, speaking of bright. Let me turn that away there. Okay. Oh. Okay, there we go. Okay. Now I look blue. Anyway. So yeah, bummer on the peanuts. We love peanut and peanut butter. Sounds like we have to make a shift on that. Yeah. I I love peanut butter too. I love but I'll get organic peanut butter, and I still do eat it. I just keep it very minimal. So, but I do love it. It's so yummy. It's Peanut butter is that it's that thing, and I think that like love the walnut butter. Are you making your own walnut butter, Chairman? Because that would be amazing. But yeah, I think like it's the one thing that when you're just really hungry and you just need something quick, and that sometimes I'll do that before I go to bed, is just a little teaspoon of peanut butter and help to like satiate me. And Mountain Grandma says, oh, wow, I thought for sure you were going to say fluoride. I know, right? I would have to check to see if the Berkey removes estrogen. Actually, I think the Berkeys remove it. So I'm talking about when it comes from the water treatment facilities. But I feel like when I looked into Berkeys, and it depends, right? There's different levels of Berkeys, but I'm curious. So keep me posted on that. Look into your Berkey and see if the one you have actually removes it. Mountain Grandma says, I buy life extension vitamins. I do worry about the capsules. All the vitamins are in though. Do you have any thoughts on those? So life extension historically has good quality. I'm definitely not opposed to them. I don't know their whole line. So I can't speak to the whole thing, but I would say if you're, it's better than going to CVS. That's what I would definitely say. Way better. And then of course the capsules, a lot of times what they use is it's like a cellulose or, whatever the material is they use for a capsule. Highly digestible, and it doesn't absorb anywhere. So it basically dissolves and then you just like poop it out. So I looked into that years ago, and I was told that they're harmless, but I probably should revisit the conversation, because that probably was, oh man, I think I did that article because I wrote a whole article on excipients in supplements, and it's on an old blog, and I need to dig up the old blog. It was like when blogs were first making their way onto the scene. But yeah, anyway, so a lot of what they put in there they call excipients, and some of them just have zero digestive impact, and you just eliminate them. So should not be too concerned. But yeah, I would say you're fine with your life extension. I had a patient come in. She's wanting to get pregnant, and she brought in her gummy prenatal. I have thoughts about the gummy prenatals or the gummy supplements. But she brought that in, and I took a look at it, and it was, I looked it up. She was getting it on Amazon, and I looked it up, and it was, I think she was getting them like 2 for $40, whatever, it was cheap, and it was on sale, and it was on Amazon. And it had, if somebody said to her, you need to make sure you look for non-GMO, GMP certified, so made good manufacturing practices. It was like 5 things that were on the label that if I said, look for these 5 things, she did it. Like it was like checking the boxes. And I told her too, you have to give people credit, right? Because they don't know what they don't know. So she found a prenatal that checked all these boxes that looked like it was really good quality. And the problem was when I compared it to the Metagenics, the highest quality prenatal that you can get, she would have to take anywhere from 10 to 40 of those to get the same level of nutrients required as to be a prenatal, like to grow life. Like you have to start thinking of that. Like if it's a prenatal, you're trying to grow life. So you can't be taking low dosage supplements. Like you need those higher dosages, and you need things in specific forms. And some of the forms weren't there. So, but that's what I'm saying. Like the most expensive supplement, like she basically just, kind of threw away $40. But like I said, I was giving her credit because she did check the boxes. So that was good on her. So, so that's it, you guys. So that's why functional medicine is so key and so critical. And what I really hope for you is that if you're in here and you're listening, that if you know somebody who's walking around and they're struggling and they don't know what to do, and they've been to their doctor and their tests are all normal, but they still feel like they're like, cuckoo, like I don't feel good. What the heck is happening? Please share my channel. Please share this video with them, because it's really important that more people understand that functional medicine we are, I'm going to say, the wave of the future, but we are what's going to help people optimize for better health, for a better future for all of us. So I would appreciate that. And then please don't forget to hit that thumbs up button on your way out. I appreciate it. All right, you guys, that's it. I will see you Thursday for Chiropractic is Sexy, and then we'll be right back here on Sunday. And appreciate each and everyone being here. I always appreciate the engagement. Otherwise, I'd be sitting here by myself. So thanks so much, you guys. Have a great night, and we'll chat soon. See ya.